John, you know, like, it's not a very easy person to get along, you know. Salute. So we yelled at each other, you know, at the end, you know, I mean, like, we produce a really good quality. I mean, anything that John has produced, you know, I had never had a question on it. I mean, like, never, I mean, it's flawless, you know. I mean, the one thing, I mean, like, that John has done, I mean, like, is whatever the job he did, I mean, like, he did it, like, absolutely flawless. I mean, we're always gonna miss him. He has, like, a great knowledge of the integrity and the system, and a lot of people around, you know, who have interacted with John is definitely gonna miss John, you know. And I thought, I mean, like, he's gonna retire with me, you know, because he's the same age me, and like me, you know. But he just bailed out on me. You know? And I, you know, if anybody, I mean, like, else wants to say a few words about John, I mean, like, you have, spent a lot more years. Bill, I mean, hi. Yes. Oh no! All right. You know.
I prepared for weeks for this job. 32 years ago, I started a little old Brooklyn Gas. When you start a new company, you got to find people that can help you out, right? Who do you go to? And when I first came to the company, one of the first people said to go to, John DeStefano. He was over in procurement, wheeling away at some contracts and stuff, and he started to learn the people that really knew the business and knew what to do, and the go-to people. And it wasn't necessarily a fit for the org chart. You know, you learned that the org chart was one thing, but the people that got things done was another chart. And so John was always that name, and continued to be that name for probably the entire career. And you know, I know going through the company and being kind of right place, right time in a lot of places, companies are built on that kind of group of people. It's not, you know, I tell you, cut the top off and the company will run really well, sometimes better. You know, and sometimes it doesn't get the respect, the acknowledgement that it deserves. And frankly, this room was filled with that group. I came in here and I was like, these are all the names that I remember going to in very different places, and probably all of you got stories on me. Unfortunately, thank God you're no longer working. But, you know, having people that were willing to share, you know, you learned right away that people that were willing to share their expertise were the right people, because they were confident in what they did, they cared about what they did, and they were willing to share it, and you learned so much. And frankly, I sit here today where I am with all the luck in the world, and it's good people like John. And the company doesn't recognize a lot of times that the glue that holds it together is people like John. And you know, I think all the engineering work that's been done, especially as we've gone post San Bruno and all the pressure, you know, John is often the kind of secret sauce behind a lot of the engineering and talent and reporting and all the stuff that's going on, keeping us out of a lot of trouble and keeping the system running great. And proud to have known you, John, over the years, and it was a pleasure. I learned a tremendous amount from you. Sad to see you go, but you know, this industry is going to be dealing with this phenomenon for a while, and hopefully we have a lot of great talent coming up behind the 8 ball here, but they got a lot of ground to pick up because these years are hard to replace, and there's nothing more I can say than all the best to you, John. Cheers.
Anybody wants to say some good words for John?
The videotaping is very intimidating.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't hear you there.
John should say something. Before I say anything, sorry, there's a little reunion that's going to happen here. The train ride home. My mother and Bruce and Don used to ride the train home to Metro every night. Yes. And they're seeing each other for the first time since probably the 90s.
Long Island Railroad crew, right here. Thank you.
I'm happy to be alive. It was unbelievable.
Does anybody else want to say anything before I take one straight to the end?
Go for it. I just want to say that I met John, and I always liked
There was a fire department, the ambulance, I needed blood transfusion.
Super quick, right?
They didn't know
When I walked in the company, John was the engineer who was very hard to get along, honestly. Everything honest, right? He's quite secluded. It takes a while to get used to him. Slowly, he's actually personable. There are people who does the job right, and there are people who have a heart to listen to people, right? So, his heart, in a sense, he does not appreciate mistakes, right? And he taught me very high standards of work. If you're making a report, he's very, very minute, detail oriented. I don't know if he was a chef, I would have definitely said he would make the best food ever. He goes for the ingredients, bits and pieces, missing links, get the links together, and good man to good fight with. You can argue with him. On technical grounds, he will beat the hell out of you. But once he says something, he has a heart to hear, and then he's easy to come along. And the DOT reports, wow, so that actually lost 10 pounds, and he had to have 10 people replace him. Seriously. Because the reporting is not easy. Things were not as easy as they sound to be. There was tremendous work in the back, and I know how he used to sleep. He used to keep the system very close to his heart. And slowly, he's actually a very good man. He's very personable. He has details of your family. He gets to know you very well, and he's always there. And few things are, sometimes he bothers too much about himself. You know, I'm not on time today. People know you have health issues, right? So I said, don't worry much, right? You do what you're doing, great man. It's really hard to see him actually leave so soon. We thought he's gonna come back. We had a beautiful queue for him. Still he's leaving. So we miss him. Thank you.
You know, everyone's talking about, I'm the worst speaker in the world, but everyone's talking about how exacting and careful, professional John is. I'd just like to throw 3 letters out there, OCD. The only person that's more OCD that I know than me. And my job riding the railroad with John and with Don every day and John's mom was to wake him up. When we got to the Massapequa stop, so he wouldn't go by. So we have a professional relationship and a friendly relationship. We have music in common. We're always talking about stuff like that. But you talk about John being an exacting guy and a sharp guy and an intelligent guy. And the story that just came to mind was giant carpet. When John moved into his new house in Massapequa 30 years ago, do you remember giant carpet?
Oh, yeah.
So this carpet company turned out to be a shady carpet company, tried to put one over on Mr. Stefano.
That's not easy.
It wasn't happening. So I was very honored because he actually asked me to proofread his letter, and this was a tome. And I knew where this was going. There were going to be no lawyers. He was going to crush them just on the intellect and the common sense, and you guys are bad guys and I'm the good guy and I'm in the right. And he's just, again, the only guy I know that writes better and more OCD than I do. But when you could take that and turn it around in your career as a positive for your company and for your own reputation, it's a great thing. And I think that's what we're all talking about here. And that's the things that come to mind about John for me.
Well, what would that be without food now? Let's get on to food. I just gotta say a few words.
Go ahead, Mike.
Especially the shrimp,
So I'm Mike Natasha. I work in materials and standards. Johnny, myself, Johnny DeVito, and O'Neill was at the time. 1980 we started, and Mr. Catapano too. Big crew. But actually, Johnny and I went to Brooklyn Tech High School. Never knew each other. Johnny
Even though I was senior class president.
They made me president for about 2 weeks and they impeached me. That's all right, you know, whatever you think is right. But, actually, we developed a bond one day when they asked us to go back to Brooklyn Tech on homecoming day. So they had this big spread of food. Nathan's hot dogs, Kadish's, Randazzo's clams,
Juju's cheesecake.
So we
L&B.
Morning Gardens. So that's when we really bonded, into bringing the past into the future. But speaking of OCD, I guess my only additive to that is one day he comes in and when computers were like, just coming out, you design your own, remember? So he comes in with this list, like 3 pages long. This is the computer I'm going to design. And he goes out to, I don't know how he got out there, but they all said, forget it, we're not going to do this. We can't do this. We can't offer you. It was like $6,000, $7,000 for this computer. They were going for like $1,800 at the time. So Johnny's like, I'm going to mothball that one. Let's go to the store and buy one. But Pradeep, you hit the nail on the head. Everything you said is true. And, good guy. Intelligence. And I can say that for a lot of people in here, but this is Johnny's time. When everybody retires, I'll just say the same thing. We're a good crew. But, what can I say? It's been a good role. And, had some personal conversations with John, which is the best thing in the world. Anybody, a real friend, you can really have a personal conversation with them. If you're lucky enough to get to that point. And we probably everyone in here has probably been there with John. That's kind of the way John is. Give him a little time and give myself a little time. Maybe I'll get there too. But there's not much more to say without bungling it. But we're gonna miss John. I miss John already. And. Just want to wish my buddy a good time, man, and your family. Yeah. Thanks for being here for all of us. It's great to meet you.
A few words I would like to add with my entire team. Pradeep said everything is true, and it's a really great. It was a great time then when I got in. The first man I got is him. My manager was Mike Zirella, but I got Eric the very first day, and me, John, and Eric were in a room, and he was telling me the very first word. Do you love 10 digits, 0 to 9? That's the first thing he told me, and really he made those numbers to me, talking to me. Those things are talking to me. If you talk to your dad, how do you feel? And what your dad would do to their child. John is like that to me. When I got in, he taught me everything, but the way he taught me all those things, I will never ever forget those things. Those are my golden times. I wish I could have more times to spend with him. He's a man who can make things very, very clear, easy, and making sense to everyone. Very tough things, he's gonna make things like easy things. That's how he makes things easy. Thank you, John, for giving me all the knowledge that you had. I tried my level best to get most of it. Time is very short. Time is very short. So, but he tried his level best to make things very easy for all the new engineers. The good thing is when we got in, a lot of senior engineers were not, group, mostly young engineers. Only him, and at that time Mike Zirella, later on my turn, and then Siddharth. So in their entire group, we the people new just got in. We don't have any experience, excuse me. But they make those things very, very easy and meaningful to us, and we were able to catch those things very quickly, without any kind of pressure. That is one of the best things these men, him and my other managers have. They make things pretty good, easy, and understandable. Without any kind of pressure, you can get these things done. Job done correctly, on time. Everything is under control. It's one of the favorite words. Don't get nervous. No pressure. We'll get these things done. Don't worry. That's how we work.
Thanks, everybody. As most of you know, I'm not short-winded. I'm a little debilitated, but I slept till 1 o'clock this afternoon, so relax. I want to thank the people in my group. Dot, as he mentioned, we've known each other since before the orchard. We became very close friends pretty quickly, which is amazing since it took me 3 or 4 years before I even knew what he was saying. But I love the guy, I really do. He's very special to me. And I hope and I think I know that will continue forever. The other guys in my group, the new guys, Pradeep and Muhammad, they're also very special. You know, they kind of came out of nowhere, and I hope I taught them a lot. At least I tried. They're really great guys. I mean, Pradeep is probably one of the most helpful people I've ever met in my life. The last computer I built, even a techie like me occasionally runs into problems, especially when it involves, you know, manipulating small, tiny objects in small, not well-lit places. And he came to my house and helped me. And I thank him for that. Muhammad has been around even longer than me. And he's thanked me on many, many occasions for everything I've taught him. The last day I was at the office, he followed me out to my car. And it was a very emotional moment. And I didn't let him see it, but when I drove away, I started crying. And it was really hard to leave. But these guys really, really made me feel important. And I thank them very much. You know, I'm going to go around here and try and thank as many people as I can. Of course, I thank my family, my wife Lori, my daughters Valerie and Candace, who have, you know, certainly been the inspiration in my life. You know, they've certainly given me things to worry about over the years. A lot of you know that I almost lost Val a couple of times. You saw what that did to me. Twice, you know, a distracted cop and a distracted middle-aged woman seemed intent on vehicular homicide. And as you can see, thank God she bounced back as good as new both times. But both of them have made me nothing but proud, especially academically. It had been outstanding. Candace is now just about finishing up her first year cross country school. And I was on a really good track for the career. I'm really happy. I'm also lucky enough to have my parents who just got here. Still with me.
Cameo.
And they had a little reunion, as you see. My mother used to ride the train with some of my work friends. Bill Akeley was kind enough to join us here today. I started as a smart-ass junior engineer. But I was already a band D. And he went places, and he really did well for himself. I'm really proud of him. And Bill grew into being my staunchest ally and my mentor. And I will probably never know, unless he decides to tell me, how many times he's probably saved my fat little ass from trouble I've gotten myself into. But I know he's always been there for me, and I don't mind telling him that he's talked me down off the ledge quite a few times. He's always been there. And I can never thank him enough. I really can't. And it means the world to me. I know how busy he's been commuting from Connecticut to Long Island, and that he made the time to be here tonight. Let's see what else. Pauline saved my life so many times. I'm a firm believer if it ain't broke, fuck with it anyway. Sometimes, occasionally, I get you into trouble. And Pauline was always there to pull me out of that. Anytime I get into computer trouble, call Pauline. She's there to help. Richie. Bruce said he woke me up at Massapequa. That was my second wake. Couple of stories about Richie. I guess around, I moved my office location from Brooklyn to Hicksville, I guess around 2000. And from 2000 to whenever Richie retired, I would see Richie sporadically, usually at meetings or whatever. And every single time I saw Richie, no matter who was there, I was always greeted with the same line. You still working? Prior to that, from the time I moved my home location from Brooklyn to Massapequa, Richie had a much more important part of my career, which was my first one, which is when he got off the train. America. And especially if I was on the train alone with Bruce and Don and he was my only. This was before smartphones and alarms and everything else. If he wasn't there, I went to battle. So thank you, Richie. Some of you know occasionally I had trouble. So I would stay late. He was the only other guy there. So I got to know Pete pretty well. So it was just me and Pete in the office at night. And I got to know Pete pretty well. We shared a lot of stuff. It was great. I found out he was good. It's pretty cool. Steve helped me out. Steve actually helped me figure out how to get this place that I didn't know. But, you know, Steve is one of the few people, I guess it's because he spent so much time in that, but when I was out sick, you know, not a lot of people kept in touch with me. And apparently there was a lot of mystery, although I didn't intentionally keep anything a mystery, but I guess a lot, you know, word didn't get around very well, but Steve kept in contact with me and emailed me on a regular basis to see how it was. I can't tell you how much that meant to me. It was really, really, you know, it just, I mean, for a while there, I really wasn't here. And they were tremendous to brighten my day. Thank you very much. Corinne and I share a very special. And this came up before, and I told her to shut up so I could have something to say. But when we were back in the East Building, well, Corinne and I have known each other since the early days. We were back in the East Building. By the way, I take poetic license to embellish these stories.
Make them louder, make them louder.
So, you know, I would see her all the time. And I think it was January of 2002. I was driving the family down to Florida with SeaWorld, Universal Studios. And, you know, we made the trip straight through without, we had a couple of drivers. My grandmother-in-law was with us. We had this windstorming event, you know, straight through without stopping to sleep. So we took turns. We were somewhere, I think it was in South Carolina. And, yeah, I had no idea. All I knew was we were hungry. So we stopped in a Cracker Barrel. Apparently, we had to stop at every Cracker Barrel. And we were eating because I really love those tacos. And I looked up from my table, and I was like, "Hey, Corinne, how you doing?" And there was Corinne sitting at the next table. That's cuckoo. And ever since then, we've had this special bond, and we're very close.
Yes, I used to think you were a little standoffish.
Not since then, not for the last 13 years.
We became very good.
And Mike, and I'm going to do Mike and Kat at the same time. We started in the same training room back in the Union. In 1980, it was the largest training group, management training group in the Union ever had. And I think, I mean, maybe there's some account that I don't remember, but I think, you know, with me and Kat leaving recently, Mike would be the last man.
Like, you got a pressure, you know?
No pressure, Mike.
The pressure's on, my friend. But there is one funny story that, remember Cole Donnelly? Moose? Mike and I volunteered to do Junior Achievement. We taught a Junior Achievement class at Superior High School. And we were working on this project back in Montague Street, where the cafeteria was on the 5th floor. Right outside, or next to the cafeteria, there was an employee lounge. And Mike and I were working on a project there. I think Kat had walked in. And Moose came while we were there. And the three of us were standing. And Moose walked by. And he looked at us and said, "What is this?" This must be a meeting of the Italian Engineering Society.
International Italian.
Before we had all that diversity training.
Yeah. Back in 1980, things were different. It's a lot more fun. I met Bruce back in 1980.
When I interviewed you.
When, when we went
And
around
Mike,
trainees.
and
Back
and
then,
Serafino.
the management training program involved, I think it was, I don't know, several months where you actually spent a day in every single department in your company. Some bigger departments like systems and boards. And you learned what the whole company did. It was really a great thing. People were actually hired, engineers, accountants, people were actually hired into the management training program because they felt you had potential, to move up. And for a while, a certain period of time, we won't get into now. But anyway, it was a great thing because you really learned what the company was about. You learned about the company as well. And, they picked key people in each department. And it wasn't just they showed you what they did. They were learning about you too, and they reported back to them. And I met Bruce then. And back then he looked like Richard Cunningham. So, and I got to meet Bruce, and we became friendly pretty quickly. And when I ended up, I spent a little time in the S&G plant and gas operations, and then I came to purchasing, which was right next door to system support where he worked, and we became friends very quickly. And then when I moved to Long Island, we took the train together because we both lived in Mass. And after Valerie Lori would occasionally pick me up at the train station, and Val, who always commented from the car seat about anybody who walked by the train, used to refer to him as the man with the
orange hair.
It's not quite as fluorescent orange as it was back then.
The battery's going low.
So, but Bruce and I had a lot in common. We were very close friends. I don't know if you remember this, both of you guys, but Bruce originally built that treehouse swing set for his daughters.
Oh, that's right.
And when they got older, I went with John.
He chopped it down.
Disassembled it and carried it to my house, and I rebuilt it in our backyard. Don was also on the train with us. He when he first started, he started later, and he came on.
Because I'm much younger.
You wouldn't know that by looking. When he first started, he didn't live in the Mason People Park. I think he lived in Lindenhurst.
Yeah.
So he had hair then, too.
And you thought he was Jewish.
And
the accent.
Did I?
Yes.
I really did?
Yes.
You kidding? So, anyway, at first I didn't really like him too much. I thought he was a smartass, but then I realized he was really a nice guy, and then we became friends very quickly after I got over that initial dislike. And I'm usually when I don't like somebody right away, it's because they're really not good. We became very close.
You tricked him.
I had him fooled. And Don, one thing about Don is, not only is he a great guy, but he's one of the few people that really cracks me up, makes me laugh. For example, we had dinner a few weeks ago. And it was actually dinner I had with a couple of old college friends, and he was working with one of them until recently. And the guy invited him along. He says, "Oh, I'm going to bring your friend Jim," which is my nickname for him. And I hadn't seen Don in a couple of months since before I retired. So we met at Smoking House on Miller Road. And first words out of his mouth when he sees me, "What, you still got the hair? You got nobody left to piss off." Very good. So anyway, let's hit a few people in this. Mike Zarella. Out of all the people I've worked for in the last 15 years, I think I've worked for Mike Zarella more times and longer than anybody else. Which means Mike has the distinction of having had to put up with more times and longer than anybody else. So I think that's worthy of a round of applause. That's not an easy task. I admit that. But you're always right. That goes without saying. But, I give people a run for their money. Let's face it. Everybody's tried to break me, and I'm proud to say everybody's failed. But it's true. It's true. And I give credit where credit's due. Mike Kern, I gotta say something. In between, let's face it, in between Joel Cooper and Sadat, and I'm gonna be honest with you, everyone, and he's gonna be mad at me for saying this. Look, Bill knows, okay, when you're around for 35 years, okay, and you're fairly well connected, which I was for a long time, okay. I told you we were sold to National Grid, right? And you didn't know.
I found out. I'm sure it's all found out.
Okay, so you're fairly well connected. You pretty much know what's going on. I knew everything that was going on, at least where it was pertained to me, okay? I knew what everybody was saying. I knew what everyone was doing behind my back. I knew everything, okay? I thought when I was going to end up working for Sadat, finally the pressure's off. What I didn't know was it was going to be the worst yet. Not only was, and I'll be honest, and most people don't know this, but he rode me harder than anybody else because everyone knew. And I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to say it here and now for everyone to hear publicly. Okay. I did more for him than I would have done for anybody else because we were friends. Okay? There were things I did quietly that made the group look good, that made the department look good, that made the gas division look good, and that made the company look good that nobody knows about because of my loyalty to him. And I also know that he got taken to task because people think he let me get away with shit because we were friends. Okay? And you can be mad at me for saying this, but I don't give a shit. Okay? Alright? And nothing could be further from the truth. Okay? He got more out of me than anybody else did. Alright? And I'm saying this publicly now so that everyone knows. That's the truth. Okay? And it's because of the future. I want that, one of the last things I say publicly, okay? Mike Kern, I want to acknowledge especially because in between Joel Cooper and Sadat, I worked for a long line of people, okay? All of them look up, every single one of them, managers, directors, even vice presidents. And Mike was the only one that figured out exactly how I needed to be treated to get the most out of it. And it wasn't difficult to figure out, and he did. And he treated me with respect, dignity, and also was very free to tell me. Because as I said, we know what everybody says about me. On just how capable I was and how much I did, and I appreciate it. I want to acknowledge it. Thank you. Jim Stead. Boy, I could say so much about you.
It's
but
okay. You left me for deep.
I will say this. I will say this. He's a piece of work. But if there's anybody in the company left that can figure out what I did, that's the guy. You lose him, you really
You had
are.
to help Pradeep that again.
Hold on to this guy. He's really valuable. He really is. And as far as, not only that, but as far as legacy Brooklyn Union Systems go, if there's anything anybody is ever going to figure out again, he's the only one that's going to be able to do it. He really is.
Absolutely. Unless we change the system.
We're trying to change
If you
the
change the
system.
systems, you're going to have to populate them with something.
Yep.
He's probably one of the most valuable people as far as New York City data goes. And that goes for everything from mapping to leaks and everything else. You lose him, you already lost me and off. That's what you got left. Mary. Oh boy, you're very special. I don't know how they go for research. I really don't. Are you still doing it in addition to what else you're doing?
I had to get them through the reports.
I really, you have a wealth of knowledge, and just such a wide span of different things that you've been involved with. You're kind of in the same boat as that I was in. I don't know how you would be replaced. I really hope you try and do what I tried to do with a couple of people in my area where I did the best I could do in terms of not only trying to teach them, but also to make what I left behind in terms of paper and electronic documents decipherable. Because that's something I've been doing for the last couple of years. So that, even if I get run over by a bus, somebody might be able to figure it out. Art. What can I say about art?
Pick us up.
I don't have to say this. I got plenty. Art and I have known each other for decades.
1980.
We've worked together on so many things over the years, going back as far as SERP, which in retrospect might have been a really stupid idea. But it saved so many millions of dollars.
Good idea at the time.
Floated the R&B program for 10 years.
Yeah. But, we, in the last decade or so, Art and I have formed not even a tag team, but a real team that basically took over so much in terms of NGA, AGA, and influencing so much regulation that's basically affected what regulation has done nationally. White papers to Congress, how DIMP was unfolding, or how DIMP did unfold. How cast iron replacement was going to, and unfortunately it's continuing. It's continuing without us. I've never worked as effectively with anyone as I have worked with Bart. And I'm so thrilled that our personal relationship has continued since we both left. We still, Art and myself and John and Mike and a few other people and Jim, still get together regularly and just, eat and drink. So,
We know how to do.
Come around like that.
and I'm glad that continues.
Back at it, dry.
Thank you. Mike.
See you later again, Mike.
Hey, Mike Howley. I got a few stories.
Don't hold back, John.
There's a lot of stories.
Mike and I have known
Time to be brief.
Mike and I have known each other for and we leapfrogged over each other and walked through this arena until the perfect storm hit back in the 90s, when through an unusual set of circumstances that involved a psychopathic manager named Jim Wilkadamo.
Oh, yes.
Me being out on jury duty, Mike Howley being released from internal auditing, and a couple of other events, all happening simultaneously. And Bob Miller, of course, going to operations. Instead of me becoming manager of system integrity, Mike Howley became system integrity, and thus my boss. Which I was okay with initially. I figured we'd be a team. One day I got sick, really sick, probably the sickest I had ever been. I had an unbelievable cold. I had no voice at all. I had a ridiculously high fever where I was borderline hallucinating. And I somehow managed to call in sick and leave a voicemail for me. Okay? And I don't know, something. So Mike, being the great friend he is, and I believe it, was concerned. So what does he do? He calls Margaret McCann and plays the voicemail for us saying, John really isn't sick. So now, try and get the irony of this. Mike Howley and Margaret McCann listen to this incomprehensible voicemail from a delusional, sick, fever-ridden person and decide that I may have a drinking problem. Now, I don't want to sound like politically incorrect, but I've been out socially with both Mike Howley and Margaret McCann. Let's just say they're not an embarrassment to their stereotypes.
Close it.
No offense.
Anyway, a week later, I'm standing in front of the World Trade Center, going to see some 23-year-old smart-ass CSW about treatment for alcohol.
Oh, no.
Anyway, we moved past it eventually, after I threatened to kill him. And our friendship was repaired. And today we're great friends, as we always were. To the point where we still socialize.
And we drink.
No
And he
problem.
still drinks
No
me
problem.
under the table. And last but not least,
Can I bring the cake?
Just like 2 or 3 more.
That's all? 3 minutes?
2 or 3 minutes. I don't want it better. What can you say about John? He's moody, arrogant, pain in the ass,
Pushy.
pushy. Let's see, that John. Anybody else? Anybody else want to add?
Throws his weight around.
Rose, oh boy.
Keep it up, Rand.
That's a lot of weight to throw around. He's also the sweetest and most accommodating person I've ever met in my life. And when I tell you, I've never, ever, ever met someone who would do the things I've asked him to do for me. I'm not exaggerating. There is no one besides him who's not my own flesh and blood that I would take a bullet. And in that sense, he's my brother. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, John.
We're gonna pay for that, Fred. The cake, you know. Now, like, you need some sweet, you know. Like, did a great job, you know.
Am I done with this?
Yeah.
Did the battery hold out?
I don't know.
Did you still see a picture?
Yeah.
Oh, then it held out.
There's only 9 minutes left.
Now I remember him, like, he's telling me. You,